Right now, on the dark, expansive waters of the global oceans, a massive ghost fleet is sailing completely outside the boundaries of international maritime law. These are not phantom wooden pirate ships or abandoned, drifting wrecks from a bygone era of seafaring. They are high-capacity, multi-million-dollar cargo vessels, bulk carriers, and supertankers stretching nearly 1,000 feet in length. They are carrying millions of barrels of crude oil and massive shipping containers worth hundreds of millions of dollars across major international trade lanes. Yet, according to the official global tracking networks used by coast guards, navies, and port authorities, these ships do not exist. If you open a real-time maritime tracking application, the coordinates where these massive steel giants are physically sailing appear completely empty. They are traversing the planet with their mandatory transponders deactivated, or worse, deliberately transmitting completely fabricated GPS locations to global networks. This shadow fleet forms the backbone of a highly lucrative, multi-billion-dollar black market operating right beneath the surface of legitimate international commerce. If you find this deep dive into the high-tech, psychological, and technological warfare reshaping global trade lines valuable, subscribe to Visual Link. To understand how these massive vessels fade into the digital fog, we must examine the fundamental tracking infrastructure of the global maritime industry. Under the United Nations International Maritime Safety Conventions, every commercial vessel exceeding 300 gross tons is legally mandated to operate a specialized transponder. This transponder system is known universally across the global shipping sector as the Automatic Identification System, or simply AIS. An AIS transponder continuously broadcasts vital situational data points over high-frequency radio bands to passing ships, shore-based stations, and specialized orbital satellites. Every few seconds, it transmits the ship's unique identification number, its exact name, its physical heading, its speed, and its precise GPS coordinates. The system was originally designed as an open, cooperative tool to prevent catastrophic collisions in crowded shipping channels and facilitate search and rescue operations. Because the AIS architecture relies entirely on the honest, voluntary cooperation of the participants, it possesses absolutely zero built-in cryptographic security protocols. The raw data inputs can be easily modified, overridden, or completely shut down manually by anyone sitting at the ship's navigation console. When a rogue nation or a criminal syndicate wants to bypass international trade embargoes or smuggle illicit goods, they exploit this vulnerability. The simplest, most primitive tactic used by these rogue operators is simply turning the physical power switch of the AIS transponder completely off. The moment the power cuts, the ship instantly goes dark, transforming into a silent ghost target that is invisible to standard digital monitoring networks. But completely disabling an AIS transponder creates an immediate, highly conspicuous red flag that alerts maritime intelligence agencies to investigate the vessel's last known coordinates. To avoid drawing this immediate suspicion, the coordinators of the global shadow fleet have transitioned to a vastly more sophisticated electronic warfare tactic, AIS spoofing. Instead of going dark, the ship's computer systems are configured to continuously broadcast a completely fabricated, highly realistic trail of false positional data. The crew uses advanced signal manipulation software to trick passing tracking satellites into believing the ship is safely anchored thousands of miles away. The false AIS trail is meticulously engineered to show the vessel moving at a normal, plausible sailing velocity along legitimate, highly traveled commercial shipping lanes. An automated tracking system reviewing the data sees a routine, perfectly compliant voyage across an entirely unproblematic sector of international waters. But while the digital ghost of the ship is safely anchored in a neutral port, the physical steel supertanker is secretly operating elsewhere. It is actively slipping into a sanctioned port to load millions of barrels of restricted crude oil or weapons under the cover of night. If you are stunned by the scale of the hidden technological deception occurring across our oceans daily, please hit subscribe to Visual Link. to pull off these massive, highly illegal cargo extractions without being caught. The Dark Fleet utilizes a high-risk maneuver known as a ship-to-ship transfer. A spoofing supertanker will quietly meet a completely compliant, seemingly clean commercial vessel in an isolated sector of the open ocean. They tie the two massive hulls together using heavy industrial lines, floating side by side on the rolling waves far beyond territorial waters. Over the course of several hours, millions of gallons of black market oil are pumped directly from the shadow tanker into the clean ship's holds. The clean ship then activates its transponder, sails comfortably into a western port, and presents falsified paperwork claiming the oil originated from a legal source. Through this high-tech shell game, the true origin of the illicit cargo is completely laundered, generating billions of dollars for sanctioned regimes and cartels. The prevalence of this deceptive practice has grown so rapidly that maritime intelligence firms now observe entire clusters of digital ghosts overlapping. Data audits show instances where multiple shadow tankers spoof their locations to the exact same physical docking berth at the exact same time. On the digital map, the ships appear to be stacked directly on top of each other in a chaotic, physically impossible geometric pile. This blatant digital distortion has sparked an incredibly intense, high-stakes game of high-tech hide-and-seek between shadow captains and aerospace intelligence analysts. Because the digital AIS data can no longer be trusted, tracking firms are abandoning radio signals and relying heavily on advanced orbital intelligence. Aerospace companies are deploying vast constellations of specialized Earth imaging satellites that photograph the entire planet's oceans near daily. These satellites do not care what coordinates a ship's transponder is broadcasting. They capture the raw, undeniable physical reality of the planet. Analysts utilize cutting-edge artificial intelligence and computer vision algorithms to automatically detect and categorize every single vessel visible in the optical imagery. The AI measures the ship's physical length, its unique deck configuration, and its hull color, creating a definitive material profile of the vessel. The system then cross-references this visual location against the live worldwide AIS network in real time to find immediate, glaring discrepancies. If the satellite imagery clearly shows a massive oil tanker actively loading cargo at a restricted terminal, but the AIS data insists that same ship is docked in Iraq, a spoofing event is immediately confirmed. To counter captains who operate under thick cloud cover or the absolute darkness of night, analysts deploy synthetic aperture radar satellites, known as SAR. SAR radar satellites bounce microwave signals directly off the surface of the ocean, piercing through storm clouds, heavy fog, and midnight darkness with ease. The steel hull of a massive ghost ship reflects these radar waves with incredible intensity, creating a bright, unmistakable signature on the analyst's screen. Other satellites track the distinct radio frequency signatures emitted by the ship's marine radar systems and satellite internet terminals to pinpoint their coordinates. Even if a captain cuts their AIS power, their ship cannot stop emitting heat, reflecting radar, and disrupting the natural texture of the ocean waves. Every single dark voyage leaves a permanent, material imprint that modern data analytics can eventually reconstruct with mathematical precision. This high-tech maritime surveillance dragnet is rapidly closing the open loopholes that the global dark fleet has exploited for consecutive years. Major maritime insurance conglomerates are now utilizing this real-time satellite data to instantly revoke coverage from any vessel caught manipulating its position. Without valid insurance, these rogue ships are legally barred from entering major international shipping straits, choking off their operational utility. Yet, as long as the financial rewards of smuggling oil and weapons remain astronomically high, the ghost fleets will continue to evolve their tactics. They're already experimenting with more sophisticated generative algorithms designed to mimic natural ocean drifting patterns and full satellite detection models. The oceans have transformed from a vast, lawless physical wilderness into a highly contested digital battlefield where data is the ultimate weapon. The stability of the global economy depends entirely on the invisible lines of logistics that connect continent to continent every single hour. When criminal actors can freely rewrite the literal coordinates of reality, they threaten the security of international borders and maritime safety. Breaking the power of the ghost fleet requires an absolute commitment to international data transparency, strict port enforcement, and space-based vigilance. The next time you look out at the horizon from a coastal beach, remember that the ocean in front of you is filled with invisible actors. The battle for the truth of global commerce is being fought every second, thousands of miles out at sea and high up in orbital space. Should international navies possess the legal authority to board and seize any commercial vessel that intentionally deactivates its tracking transponder? Let us know in the comment section down below if you think satellite surveillance will completely eliminate the shadow fleet over the next decade. Stay informed, stay curious, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more breaking technology, geopolitics, and maritime mystery updates.